welcome, and I hope you're dry. And just a little bit of tip, if you go barefoot, it's a whole lot more fun. Today we are going to talk about building character and relationship through childhood chores. If you were at my talk yesterday, we talked a lot about building relationship. Today I'm going to give you a lot of concrete examples and tips of what that's going to look like in your home and on your homestead. We're going to talk about the importance of building relationship with your family, how to use the homestead as a tool in building relationship, and we're going to navigate the ages and stages of childhood chores. And I'm going to tell you that the eye rolling and all of that, it's normal. You didn't break your children. They're not broken. They all do that. So my slideshow wouldn't work, but I have a beautiful picture of my family. We have 7 children, and their ages span 16 years. The oldest is currently 23, and the youngest is 9. And one of the unexpected blessings of having a large family is you get to do the 2-year-old stage over and over and over again. And you start connecting the dots and saying, oh, I remember this stage. They grew out of it. And it blessed me to get to that point with our younger children where I'm like, oh, it's not a big deal. This is a normal stage. You just get through it. So my husband and I, with our 7 children, well, the 5 still living at home, live in Northeast Iowa, almost to Minnesota. And we live on 20 acres. We have a homestead, and we don't raise any of our food for profit. It's all for nutrition. So everything on our farm is raised for feeding the family. 5 of our children still live at home, and we have cows, pigs, chickens, a large garden. We do a lot of canning, and I'm going to kind of go through the introduction really fast because a lot of you have asked me if I would spend more time talking about teenagers on the homestead. And I tend to get hung up on the elementary age because that's what I'm feeling mostly right now because our youngest children are 9, 10, and 12. And then they'll say, okay, your time's up, and I never really get to the teenage stage. So my husband and I grew up Old Order Mennonite, and a lot of you would not be able to tell the difference between the Old Order Mennonites and the Amish. But I can tell the difference because I know it. But that's how similar it is to the Amish. We left that culture in 2007, and we quickly started realizing that although there was many things about the modern world that we loved, there was some things that we absolutely did not want to pass on to our children. And one of the things we noticed was a lack of work ethic in modern day children. Like in the Amish and Mennonite culture, there's a lot of work ethic, and it starts when they're very, very young. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to ignore you over here. I'm trying to not be distracted. So, some things about the Mennonite culture we really wanted to leave behind, that the work ethic and instilling that culture into our family was something that we were very intentional about instilling into our children. So we started asking ourselves, where did we learn work ethic? How did that start in us? Where did we learn it? And my husband, who grew up in a family of 13 on a dairy farm, and said he would never, ever milk another cow in his life. So we're sitting there having this conversation, and I said, well, I remember when I first started telling myself, I can do hard things. I was 10 years old, and I had to get up and milk the family milk cow before I went to school. And I remember getting to the point where I was like, I can do this. This is hard. I can do hard things. That is the first time I remember at 10 years old. I know it starts a lot earlier. So I said to my husband, it was the milk cow, right? And he's like, we're never having a milk cow. We currently have 8 cows on our property. So it starts with, so we're like, okay, it starts with chores, right? So we bought some baby chicks. We had 2 children at the time, and these chicks were not for food. They were for giving our children chores, because that's where we put our stake in and said, okay, this is how we remember learning work ethic and building characters through chores. Those chicks, we didn't know what kind they were. They were Cornish cross, and we kept feeding them and feeding them and feeding them. They got to be the size of small turkeys. We finally ended up putting them in the freezer, and then we bought a hog, and we fed that hog and fed it and fed it and fed it. We finally put that one in the freezer. And so eventually, as the family grew, we started acquiring more animals because we needed more chores. And that is kind of what our homestead was built on, our reasoning that we need chores for our children. We need for them to be able to do things that are hard, and they need to do them every day. And of course, we kind of evolved into this food tastes so much better, and we're feeling so much better, until you have what we are now, where we're raising most of our own food. And like I said yesterday, I don't want to give anybody the impression that I think good, nourishing food is going to save any souls. It's the hearts of the people that we're after. But in our family, if I can get chores that build character and give us time to spend together doing those chores, then I'm hitting a lot of my goals at the same time. Number 1, we're growing good nutrition for the family. Number 2, and not in any order, right? Number 1, we're building good character. Number 2, we're raising most of our own nutrition. And to top it all off, we're spending the kind of quality time together that builds relationship. So that right there makes you want to go out and buy land and animals, if you haven't already. Okay. Parents do so much for their children these days that they rob them of their self-esteem. Children need to do hard things. When they come to you and they say something is hard, I can't, don't rescue them. They need to do hard things. That is what develops their character. You rob them of their self-esteem when you swoop in and rescue them over and over and over. Chores help children feel valued and included. Children that feel valued and included have a better sense of self-esteem and confidence than their peers that do not have chores. So when your children come to you and say, none of my peers have chores, none of my friends have to, milk the cow before school, it's okay. That doesn't mean you're not loved. Imagine the leg up that children have when they enter the adult world and they already know how to cook a complete meal, how to keep house. So growing up in the Mennonite culture, and when I say culture, I mean their lifestyles have been the same for decades, like hundreds of years. And it looks like this. Women are homemakers, and there's nothing wrong with this, right? Women are primarily homemakers, men are the breadwinners. That's how it's been for hundreds of years. And so when we left that culture, one of the things that I worried about is my boys are probably not going to marry Mennonite women that know how to cook, that keep house for them, right? My boys are going to need to know how to keep house. My Mennonite sisters do not worry about that with their sons. Their sons will marry good housekeepers. They don't need to teach their sons how to cook and do laundry and all of that. But I'm very aware of it that my boys are going to marry into a culture that I am not very familiar with. So they need to know how to keep house. And I don't mean any disrespect to anybody that's raising girls that, aren't Mennonite. But I want my boys to be a blessing to their wives. So they're going to learn how to cook and clean and do laundry and keep house. So giving them chance to master these skills when they're young means that they will have a lot more time for other things when they enter adulthood. When they don't have to learn how to do laundry and cook, when they enter adulthood and go out on their own, when those skills are second nature, they have a lot more room in their brain for other things. So chores that benefit the whole family have an even greater impact on your children's character. So these are the types of chores. So I know a lot of families, each child does their own laundry. That system never worked in our family because I would have had 3 and 4 children that can't do their own laundry and mom has to do it, right? So our laundry system looks like we do laundry twice a week. And the boys are now at the age where they gather all the laundry, they sort it, they help hang it out, they bring it in, they fold it all, and they take it upstairs and put it on everybody's bed. I'm, of course, there to help, and their older sister's there to help. And guess what? They complain, and they're like, why do we have to fold Mitchell and Hadassah's laundry? Why can't they fold their own laundry? And I say, guess who folded your laundry when you were too little to fold laundry? It was Mitchell and Hadassah. And guess what they said? Why do we have to fold the little boy's laundry? We didn't wear any of these clothes. And I'd say to Mitchell and Hadassah, just wait. One day you're going to be grown up, and you're going to be having a part-time job. You won't be here on laundry day. Guess who's going to fold your laundry? The little boys. It's a circle. See how it works? And we are all for one and one for all. Chores, make sure your children have a large concentration of chores that are for the family. Gathering the eggs, or making breakfast, or setting the table, that's for the family. That creates a heart of service. Those chores are invaluable. I can never find enough chores like that because those are the chores that I would choose for my children over and over and over. The chores that help them serve other family members and think outside of, this is just for me. It helps children to think beyond their own needs and happiness and to the needs of those they love. The biggest mistake we make when we assign chores for our children is with the expectation that it is going to lighten our workload. I want you to get that as far from your mind, throw it as far away as you absolutely can. There is a few short years where it lightens your physical workload, but the mental workload is always yours. Okay, we're going to dive right into the ages 2 and 4. This stage is what I call the willing but not able stage. They are extremely willing to help you with whatever you're doing, but they're not able to do anything except make a mess, right? But your job is to make them believe that they are the biggest help you've ever had. You know those little ice cream buckets? If you have 2 to 5-year-olds, that is their 5-gallon bucket. They can't carry a 5-gallon bucket with feed, but they can carry an ice cream bucket. Save those ice cream buckets because they are one of your best friends. They can take laundry out in those. They can follow you with some laundry. It's not enough for them to just go with you. You need to give them a very important job. You really want to cash in on their willingness at this stage, because they truly believe that they can do whatever you're doing, and they want to be needed. And you're going to make them believe that they're needed because you're going to come back and cash in on this in the next stage. Everything's going to take you twice as long, and you're going to be talking a lot. Because one of the mistakes we make with this preschool age is that we think because their communication skills are limited, their comprehension skills are just as limited. And it's not true. They can comprehend a lot more than they can communicate. So you're going to speak to them a lot with a lot bigger words and more words than what they're responding to. I challenge you to speak to your preschool age as if they were 10 years old. Because however you speak to them, they can comprehend that. We're going to take the laundry out. Here's your bucket and you can carry it. I'm going to go first. And I'm going to walk all the way to the laundry line, and I'll come back and help you if you're having trouble. You're just going to speak all the time because they can comprehend what you're saying. This is where you're going to lay the foundation for all other childhood chores. But things are going to take you a lot longer. You cannot afford to wait until your children are able to give them chores. You can't afford to wait until they're capable of carrying that laundry basket. If you have 2 children, it's going to happen earlier because 2 children can carry a laundry basket easier than 1 5-year-old. Or you're going to use a wagon and put it on the wagon and have them take the laundry out that way. Capable children are your goal. You cannot wait. They know there's a lot to do at this age, and they know that you're going to do it. Life skills start taking root much, much younger than most of us know. Life skills are those skills that you can't really tell when you learned it. You just know that you always knew it. Those are true life skills, and they start taking root much, much earlier than most of us realize. If we spend the first 5 years of a child's life giving them the vibe that they are in the way and too little to help, or too young to understand, then we must not suddenly expect that at 10 years old, they are going to want to help. You need to make sure you cash in on their willingness, and you need to make sure that they know that you want and need their help. The risk of raising entitled and self-seeking adults is far too great for us to neglect the window of character development in the preschool years. So one of the things when I first started my Instagram was people would freak out that my boys were using knives, like real knives. And I wanted to ask the people, and I didn't because I'm not confrontational on Instagram, I just let it go. But I wanted to ask them, okay, tell me, what is the worst thing that can happen if my 5-year-old is cutting potatoes with an actual paring knife? The worst thing that can happen is he's gonna cut his finger, right? We can put a Band-Aid on it, and he has learned something. You cannot wait until you think they're ready. My children would have never accepted those child knives. Never, ever, because they don't look like mom's knives. Our youngest son was born obsessed with knives, and he, from the time he could walk, he would go and get butter knives and put them in his pockets. And he had to wear jeans, because if his pants didn't have pockets, it was not a good day. And one Sunday morning, he wouldn't bend to sit on the pew. Like literally, physically could not sit on the pew. Turns out he had both pockets full of butter knives, and he couldn't sit. And I have photos of every crack in our, like by the door jambs, by the window, by the window casing, he would stick butter knives in there. So one day, I think he was 4 or 5 years old, my husband decided he's old enough to have a pocket knife for Christmas. All you moms are saying, Mom doesn't think that's a good idea, right? I live with this child. I know how reckless he is. He got a pocket knife for Christmas. By the end of Christmas Day, he had like 10 Band-Aids on 10 fingers. But that was the end of it. That was the extent of it. He learned so much that day. And in all of my years of allowing my children to use real knives, they've never needed stitches from using a knife. They've needed a lot of Band-Aids, and they've learned a lot of lessons. You gotta teach them what you want them to know. And you've got to allow them to make mistakes. Take the baby gates down, let them in the kitchen. I remember my mom telling me, so I was 11 when my youngest brother was born, and we had a wood stove for heat in the kitchen. And I remember my baby brother, when he learned to walk, hit the stove with his hand and had blisters on his hands, and I was a nervous wreck, because I was his, little second mama. And I remember my mom saying, it's okay, that he'll only do it once. I've been telling him all week that it's hot, now he knows. We know how to take care of a burn. Did we want it to happen? No. We know how to take care of it, but now he knows. And she said to me, he is my 9th baby to touch that stove, and I promise you, twice is the most that they do it. Now they know what hot means. She never put a baby gate around that wood stove. we all learned that it was hot, and that was my first bit of education, because my heart was broken for him, having this blister on his hand. But my mom was so confident. She said, we know how to take care of burns. There's no emergency. He now knows what hot is. And although we don't have a wood cook stove, we use a lot of cast iron, and that stays hot for a long time. So my children are, my preschool toddler, they're pushing chairs into the kitchen as fast as they can when I start cooking. And guess what? They all learn really fast what I mean when I say that's hot. Don't touch that. Some of them don't touch it. The others have to touch it to see if I know what I'm talking about. And I will allow them. Don't touch it, it's hot. If they're going to not believe me until they touch it, I can say it every 5 minutes and they're still not going to believe me until they touched it. We have to be willing to let our children learn the hard lessons, because you're just delaying it. By the time you're ready for them to use a knife, they're not going to want to help you. So kitchen stools, knives, coveralls for going to the barn so that the dirt stays outside, because one of the number one questions is, how do you keep all the dirt from entering your house? Coveralls or outside clothes that go on on the outside of their house clothes, and you leave those clothes in the barn, in the garage or your entryway, and then before you go back to the barn, they just go on over top. Barn boots, and buy the overalls a couple sizes too big so that you can get 3 or 4 winters out of them. I have photos of my boys in overalls that are way too big for them, but that's what we had. And here again, you're going to talk to them all the time. This is how we close the gate. We close the gate so the cows don't come out. You're just going to educate them by talking. They are absorbing it, I promise. And then be prepared to gently guide them through their mistakes. They are going to make a lot of mistakes. Feed is going to be spilled. Expect it. Expect mistakes and messes, and know that is what you're building on. You're not looking to wait until they're 10 years old and now they can milk the cow. You're going to be there and you're going to teach them little by little by little. That is how they're going to learn. That is how they build skill on skill. You're going to gently guide them through their mistakes. Children are very intuitive and will know if they are just in your way. Even mistakes can be made to be a positive shared experience. These are not the years to be using grandma's heirloom dishes. You will have feed spoiled and you will have animals escape. Expect it. When you have little ones helping you, those are the things that are going to happen. But your goal is character building. It's long term. The interest and willingness to help is at its peak. Remember to capitalize it. And then I'm moving on to the next stage. But here's another thing I want to leave you young moms with. Please do not think that I'm saying wait to do all your chores until your toddlers and preschool children can help you. That nap time hustle is going to serve you very, very well. You're basically just going to look at your day and say, okay, this and this is what I want to do without any help. And I'm going to leave this and this and this to do when they're not napping. You don't have to take them along for every chore. That nap time hustle is when you're going to get the things done that you don't want to be slowed down with. Okay, if the preschool age was the willing but not able stage, then the 6 to 10 years is going to be able but not willing. If you have laid your foundation well, you can start to feel the help with this age group. They can save you a lot of steps by just checking on things for you. They can turn off burners, they can clean out the dishwasher. They can do a lot. So they're partially competent in almost every job, and they make the perfect companion for almost every job because they're actually quite strong and they're able. The problem is they're no longer willing. They are no longer impressed with all the adult chores, because now they want to go play, and they have their real things that they want to play. And I need a really strong whistle to call this age from the back 40, where they are always building a fort when it's time to do chores. They're no longer worried about where mom is. They know that I will come find them. And I must say, with this age group, and I need my boys to cover their ears so they don't hear this, though they know it. If they are playing peacefully, I often let it be. I have a list of chores in the back of my head, and when the bickering starts, which it will, and it's not a punishment, it's just my signal that it's time for something structured. And then we're like, hey, we're gonna go put tomato steaks in, and we're gonna steak our tomatoes. It's not a punishment, they just need some structure. And some days, we don't get a lot of chores done because they play well together, and their playing lasts for hours. Other days, we get a lot of chores done. And it's just kind of a redirection. And here's the other thing that we often forget about this age group. They are not very good at regulating their emotions, right? So they are playing far, far away from me, where they can't see me, they can't hear me, they can't, feel how fast I'm breathing or anything like that. So they lose their emotional regulation, and you're going to expect them to start bickering and fighting, because guess what? They will regulate their emotions by being close to an adult that they are bonded with. So for this age group, a lot of us get frustrated with the constant bickering. That's very normal. They're not good at regulating themselves. They need to be close to you. The more distracted and detached we are from them, the more bickering and fighting there is going to be. So bringing them close, even one at a time, sometimes works best. Bringing them close where they can actually regulate their emotions by being with us, but then we have to be present. Having them sit next to you while you are on your phone, that doesn't regulate anybody. You have to be present to regulate with this age group. They will regulate their emotions with you. Now, here's the trick. If you have multiple, they're gonna try to regulate off of each other. So you have to separate them, bring them in one at a time to work with you, because some of you that have multiple children in the same age group know exactly. You're saying, oh, that's what's happening. Yes, we're doing chores, but they continue to bicker right under my, right here under me. It's because they're still trying to regulate from each other. They need an adult that has regulated their own emotions, and that's how they're going to bring their emotions down, and they're gonna match your emotional regulation. So bringing them in to do chores when they start bickering is more than just distracting them and giving them structure. It's about emotional regulation. Okay. There's another phrase that will help you understand this age group, and it's feigned incompetence. Yeah, you're all laughing. You're like, that's the word for it. That's what I've been dealing with. It is when they set about to try to convince you that they can't do something. You know they can. They've probably been doing it for a couple years, and now suddenly it's just too hard and they can't do it. The goal of feigned incompetence is to see if you will give them less chores. Well, guess what? Feigned incompetence just means you need more practice. If you can't do something, your coach never says, you know what? You don't have to do it. It says, we're going to work on that. You're going to get more practice, more practice, more practice. That's how we grow. So you're going to keep your words super, super simple. Your best weapon against feigned incompetence is consistency. Simple consistency. I can't milk the cow. It's too hard. Whoa, guess what? You just need more practice. So now I'm going to milk 1 quarter and you're going to milk 3. And you're going to push yourself because you can do hard things. That's how you grow in strength and character, is by knowing that you can do hard things even when you don't feel like it. So you're simply going to meet feigned incompetence with very simple words. You're going to use one phrase, And every time you hear that feigned incompetence come up, you're going to use that phrase, and they're going to come back at you with all these arguments. You're going to stick to the same phrase. Every time that you use a different phrase, they see it as a weakness. Oh, I bet she's weakening. I bet she's starting to believe me. You're not falling for it. You're just going to say, I'm sorry. This chore has to be done before you can do anything else. Whatever phrase you want to use. I say, well, it just sounds like you need more practice. And more practice is never a good thing when all you want to do is go play. I, at one time, and we're kind of at the tail end of this now, but I, at one time, when I did this presentation, I got emotional because I was feeling this stage so thoroughly that it hurt. Everywhere I turned, there was pushback. But guess what? It's just a developmental stage, and you're gonna get through it. Just stay consistent, don't lose your cool. And I remember sometimes saying, it's okay, I understand you don't feel like it. You can sit here on this stool until you decide to go do your chores. They can't do anything else. You can just sit here. When you're ready to go, you can go do it. They get bored from sitting there and they go do their chores. So it takes the preschool age child 0 to no time to learn that if I pretend I can't do something, somebody else will do it for me. I was teaching Sunday school in the 3 and 4-year-old class one day, and they took their shoes off. So it was time to leave Sunday school, and they had to put their shoes on. And all the little girls put their shoes right on. And they're like 4 years old. And there's one little boy who was actually the oldest of the class, and he's like, I can't put my shoes on. And I proceeded to show him how it's going to work. You know, you're going to sit down. Here's your shoe. You're going to slide your foot in. And he put them on, and he goes, my mom doesn't know I can put my own shoes on. And I thought to myself, I bet she doesn't. But it takes them 0 to no time to know that I must only pretend I can't do something and somebody else will do it for me. But you're gonna know that, and you're gonna come in and you're gonna be like, it's okay. You can sit here until you decide to put your shoes on. Especially when you've already shown them how to put them on. Consistent consequences is your best weapon. Being consistent. And then consequences would look like figuring out what the child expects to gain by not doing chores and giving them the opposite. For us, that looks like more practice. Attitudes, if you're having a bad attitude about chores, I guess you need more practice. Washing dishes is not a favorite chore at our house. Some of the kids prefer it over other chores. But if you have a bad attitude about washing dishes, guess what? I think you need more practice. So now you're gonna wash for another meal. And you're gonna wash as many meals as it takes for your attitude to be acceptable. More practice is what works, just a calm. It sounds like you need more practice. Now, I'm not that hard-nosed or legalistic that I'm not able to say, you know what, there is a lot of dishes. How about you wash all of these, and if you do it with a good attitude, I'll come in and I'll finish up for you. You want to give enough compromise so that your child knows that you are for them. So if there is a lot of dishes, give them a little bit. Compromise a little bit and say, well, you can do these with a good attitude, I'll do these. That's kind of like approach it from that positive aspect, but always connect it with, if you give me, and I'll use this with my teenagers as well. I'm trying to give you what you want, but you have to give me something. It goes both ways, right? I know you want to stay out later tonight, but I need something from you. I need you to execute X, Y, Z that you told me you would do. And then I can give you something. And it's the same with the elementary age too. They respond very, very well. And it lets them know that you are for them. Whenever possible, you say, I hear what you're saying, how about we do it together? But I need a good attitude from you. I will work with you in exchange for a good attitude. Okay, your biggest weapon against feigned incompetency is what? Consistency. You're going to get through it. Don't lose heart. Don't lose your cool. It's a stage. We've all experienced it. We've experienced it. Anybody that has elementary, I've seen adults use feigned incompetence to get out of working. So don't think for a minute that you're the only one or that your children are somehow broken because they're pretending they can't do something. Okay, so to build on skills, you master one skill and then you add on to it. Somebody asked me, how many chores should my 8 to 10-year-old be doing? And the answer to this, for any age, is they should be doing enough chores so that their free time is valued. For each child, that's going to look different because some are very, very creative at creating their own structure. They'll go out and build a fort for a whole afternoon. And if they're bored, just let them be bored for a little bit. But they should be valuing their free time as a reward. And the older they get, the more chores they need and the less free time. And you'll see this because your older children will stop valuing their free time. So you're going to build on skills. They're going to master one skill. Let's say their chore is feeding the dogs, right? And it takes them a week maybe to do that perfectly without your having to oversee this. And then you're going to add another one. Okay, so now when you're done feeding the dogs, I also want you to go and water all the planters. And you're just going to keep building chore upon chore upon chore. And if you're adding too many chores and they don't have enough free time, then pass one chore off to somebody else. If you don't have another child that needs to learn that skill, then you take it on so that they can learn a new skill. If they're going to learn cooking, if they don't have room for any more chores, then just let them be. Let some of their other chores slide. But don't just think that cleaning the bathrooms every week for a whole year is enough chores for a child. You want to be building on skills. You don't want that child to ever only have cleaned the bathrooms. You want them to know how to cook dinner, how to make a bed, how to clean a house, how to do the laundry. You're going to add on to their skill set. So setting the family table is a chore that serves, the whole family. And one of the reasons we continue with this habit is because it gives a chore for preschool age and elementary age children. It gives them about a 5 to 10 minute chore that fits perfectly. And we keep this because it's a great chore, and I have boys that need chores, and I'm always looking for more chores. So setting a family table, I talked a little bit about this yesterday, how this helps us build relationship. But another reason for that, it is a chore that we need that because we have more children than we have work some days. I don't have enough chores to go around every day for the amount of energy I have in the house. So the mastery of chores, what does that look like? So mastery of cooking would look like your children or your child, let's say your 12-year-old, can cook a simple meal for the family. You're going to be there, of course, right? And it could be a simple meal like grilled cheese or potato soup or something like that. As soon as they've mastered that, you're going to give them another meal to master. And you're going to build on skills. As soon as they can do one thing and they can do it well, you're going to keep them challenged by adding another thing. And they're going to get so used to building their skill set that they're going to start enjoying the challenge of what can I make next? What can I do next? Okay, one of the biggest problems that I have with my children is not picking up their responsibilities, right? Or not letting them know that I am responsible for the entire farm. Because guess what happens? As soon as they know that you're going to check on their chores, they stop caring, and some will even stop doing them. Oh, mom will see that the chickens don't have water, and she will come tell me. It's not okay. So one of the things that we've developed in our house to help me from picking up their responsibility is chore reports. So they have to come to me and they have to list off all the chores that they've done. I fed and watered the chicken tractor, I fed and watered the young chickens, and I gathered all the eggs and put the eggs in the refrigerator. They have to report their chores to me. I'm still mom, I still know everything that goes on, but they take responsibility that way. Chore reports are invaluable in teaching your children to be responsible for the chores that you have given them. You still know, right? You're not going to let the chickens go without water, but they don't know that you are all-knowing. We are, right? We can kind of know by how long it took them if they did them correctly. But if they report to you, they'll often catch their mistake in the middle of reporting it. They'll be like, you know what, I'll be right back. It helps them create a mental checklist, and it creates the habit, because if I'm really honest, it's often just lack of brain development because they're daydreaming or they saw something that distracted them. I truly believe that most of the time when chores at our house don't get done correctly, it's simple lack of brain development on checking on themselves. They just went where their brain told them to go next, and they forgot to keep themselves in check, which falls under the character quality of self-discipline. So coming to me and giving a chore report is that mental checklist of did I do everything that I need to do. That's a great, great skill to have. Now there's dishonest chore reports. It's going to happen where they're going to know they didn't do something, but they're going to lie to you. And guess what? That just means more practice. You need more practice telling the truth. So now for the next hour, I'm going to give you little chores and you're going to come report to me. And when I am satisfied that you've told the truth enough times to create a new pattern in your brain, then I'm going to allow you to go play. So all it takes is more practice. If a child is lying, guess what? They just need more practice telling the truth. And it ends up feeling like a consequence to them because they don't get to go play. That's all they want to do is free time, to go do what they want to do. So if we take that away as a natural consequence, because now you have to water the chickens in the middle of when you didn't, when it should have been done, now you have to do it instead of playtime, that, is robbing them of what they really wanted in the first place. Plus, mom's going to add extra chores for practice. Time management is a really crucial life skill. I'm very intentional about teaching time management to my children because I cannot handle tardy people. I feel very disrespected myself when people don't understand that 6 o'clock means 6 o'clock. It's probably a little bit of an, character flaw on my side, but I'm intentional about teaching my children time management skills to the point where our one child, our third out of 7, I'm like, okay, this is working. I'm gonna hit this hard. He got so good at managing his own time, he started managing my time. And it looked like this. Okay, Mom, you said you want to get groceries before you pick me up from school. And if it takes you 15 minutes to drive to the grocery store, and it's going to take you 45 minutes to shop, and then 15 minutes to drive to school, you need to leave the house, Mom, no later than... I'm like, it's okay. I've never been late to pick you up. I can manage my own time. And it was years of him trying to manage my time. And then finally one day he got his own license. And I didn't have to pick him up from anywhere. And he manages his own time well. He manages it very, very well. But here is what you need to help a child learn to manage their time. It's a little tick-tock manual timer, and 4 jars right around the corner here has them. No digital timers, because nothing teaches a child time faster than something that's going tick, tick, tick in the bathroom while they're getting dressed, and it's going to explode at any minute. The passing of time is a very, very hard. It's abstract. Most children have no idea that they take 20 minutes to put a shirt on. They don't know what 20 minutes is. And that's okay, but we can help them learn time management by setting a little tick-tock timer. And then guess what? Is it taking them 20 minutes to wash dishes, and you think it should only take them 10? Start with 20 minutes. Set the timer for 20 minutes or 18, and say if you can beat the timer, then you can, do X, Y, Z. And then the next day you set it for 15. But you let it where they can hear it tick, tick, tick. Digital timer, they're gonna forget it's going. But if they can hear the tick, tick of it, and if they're old enough that they can manipulate this and put it in their pocket, let them take it along to do chores. It's a great, great tool. And you all know you have to turn these past 15 minutes to get them to actually ding. You have to wind them. You have to wind them past 15 and then turn them where you want them. Otherwise, they won't ding. So time management is a great skill to work on. Okay, I promised I would scoot through this age group. Let's talk chore rotations. When you have multiple children in the same age, let's say the elementary age, it's very tempting to say, okay, for this week, you're gonna do this chore, you're gonna do this chore, and then next week we will switch. But I have found that this age group does not do well with weekly chore rotations. And I actually don't like weekly chore rotations because guess what? 1 week of not working on something is a long time for an 8-year-old to lose the skills that you built. So we do like 3-month chore rotations. And guess what? They get really, really good at working on those skills, and you get to fine-tune them for 3 to 4 months. And then you start with somebody else. And it's really good because we hand milk our cows, and they build up a lot of hand and wrist strength in 3 months. But because I have 3 boys that rotate through the same chores, if I rotate every week, it takes one child 2 whole weeks to come back around to the same chore, and we're starting all over. They've forgotten almost everything. So we've gained a lot more momentum in our skills by sticking to the same chores for 3 months at a time. When they get to the teenage stage, and our 12-year-old is there, I can tell. He's ready to switch chores with his 16-year-old sister, 15-year-old sister every week. Because he's now mastered all of these good enough, and he's had enough brain development, he's not gonna backslide in 1 week because he's done these so often. And he gets really bored with doing the same chores for so long. So he's ready to start thriving with weekly chore rotations. But the 6 to 9, 6 to 10, 11, if you're working on a real skill set with your chores and you're trying to build the kind of momentum where you can knock chores out very efficiently, with this age group, it's really good to let them do the same chores we do from the beginning of the school term to Christmas break, right? And then we take a Christmas break from school, and then we use that week to switch everybody and get everybody started. And then we keep the same chores from Christmas to spring break. Then we use spring break to switch everybody, and then we stick to that until summer break. And then summer break, I kind of let them choose what is your chore, and I kind of let them work on the skill of working things out with their brothers. Well, I'll do this if you do this and this. They still have to come and let me know what they've done. But we kind of use the summer to let them work on some of those relationship skills with their brothers and negotiating skills. And it does happen that some of them come to me and say, I feel like I'm doing way more chores. Like some of them are just a little more cunning and better with their words, and they talk each other out of chores. But that's okay. That's all skills that we're going to work on. Okay, consequences, I talked a little bit about that. Just make your consequences counterproductive to what the child wanted to gain. Is that me or is that out there? It's out there, okay. Time management skills, okay. The ages 10 or 12 through 15, the teenage ages, I often get somebody saying, hey, you're done, it's time for you to quit. So I kind of rushed through because I had a lot of requests to talk more about this age. And one of the reasons I don't talk a lot about this age is I don't feel like I have as many years of experience as I do with the younger ages, because I only have 2 adult children and my next set of children are teenagers currently. But I can tell you what they like and don't like, and hopefully it will be helpful. So with this age group, you're going to give them a lot of freedom with how and when they want to do their chores, because guess what? Oftentimes they have ideas and schedules of their own that they really value. So for me, it looks more like telling my 15-year-old, hey, here's what we need to get done today, and I really need you to clean the toilets and clean the showers. And then it's also your job to cook dinner, right? So I don't care when you clean the toilets and the showers, just make sure it gets done today. And then by lunchtime, I want you to know what you're going to make for supper, and I need you to come tell me. So that's kind of how I work with my teenagers, because they do have the skills of managing their own time. We worked on that. And I'm sorry, but if you're gonna wait till last minute to clean your toilets and showers, that's on you, right? And I'm gonna take note, and I'm gonna just know that you need more practice, and the next time, I'm not gonna give you that much freedom. But they love to manage their own time, and they love when you just give them an idea rather than tell them right out what to do. So here's what we need to get done. You can do it on your own time. And then they also, like our 17-year-old has a full-time job in the summer, so I don't see a lot of him, but he's still responsible. Here's kind of how it works. You're getting your whole paycheck. We're not asking you to pay rent. Your rent is helping with the chores we need you to help with. That's how you pay us. So if we're going to load pigs and we need your help, that's how you pay us rent. If I ask you, if I have a need and I need for you to help me, you're going to do it because that's how you pay rent. If they complain, I'm like, it's okay, I can just start charging you rent, and then you can live here without lifting a finger, but you are going to pay rent. I feed you and we have a roof over your head, and you can choose, right? And they will choose to do chores. They don't like to part with their money. So for teenagers, they're still required to help. Our 15 and 17-year-old are at home taking care of 100 animals on the farm all by themselves. And they're going to get a big fat vacation when I come back. I'll probably not ask them to do anything for 2 or 3 days, and then I'm going to see it on their faces. They're going to be so bored, they're almost going to be begging me for chores. But I'm very, very proud of them. And so far we haven't had anything. I'm just waiting for that phone call of, hey, the cow had a calf. Because one of them she's really, really close. And I'll just have to walk them through what to do over FaceTime. But your teenagers, okay, so there's the group of people that says teenagers are the worst. And there's another group of people that say teenagers are the best. Can we just all agree that they're both? And they can be both in the same day? But they're really, really just baby adults. One of the things that has helped me most with my teenagers is remembering that they're baby adults. So when they're 12, they're like a 2-year-old adult, right? That's how many years of experience they've had trying to operate in the adult world. And you are going to treat them accordingly. You're not going to treat them like a 2-year-old, but you're going to know that the adult world is brand new to them. And then when they're 16, they're kind of like a 6-year-old. And you're going to give them a little more rope and a little more room to make decisions. And you're just going to proceed like that. But understanding that an 18-year-old is like an 8-year-old adult. They only have 8 years of experience in the adult world. And setting your expectations accordingly, that's going to help you a lot. And you're going to have a lot more grace. Because it's a shame when you have this 6-foot kid, right? And he can work like a man, and we fall into the habit of expecting them to reason like we do at 40 years old. We cannot expect them to see things the way we do. So there is those times when you say, obey now, understand later. I keep that phrase in my back pocket, and I use it sparingly because my teenagers know that once I've used that phrase, there's no budging. I'm putting my foot down. This is an obey now, understand later. We are not reasoning about this anymore. But I use it very sparingly because I want it to carry a lot of weight. When mom and dad say, this is an obey now, understand later, that's it. It's the end of the discussion. Because we can't expect them to understand something that we can comprehend at 40 years old. Their brain is not going to work like that. They just have to trust us that this is a decision that we're making for them. So standing shoulder to shoulder, I have another story about allowing them to make their own decisions. So our oldest son, who's 17, he's the king of shortcuts, right? I know a faster way to do this, Mom. Okay, so putting up the tomato fence, and he had a better way, and I'm like, well, I don't think that's going to work. He insisted to do it his way. I'm like, all right, go ahead. But here's the agreement. If it goes down, if the tomato fence goes down, because we use a cattle panel and steel T-posts for our tomatoes, if it goes down, it's going to be your responsibility to fix it. I promise, Mom, I will fix it. Well, guess what? First rainstorm, and our tomatoes are like this tall, and they're, they're heavy with rain, and our Iowa dirt is soft, like really, really soft. You can sink down to your ankles in it. So your T-posts, and you know what happened. The fence went over. He fixed that fence all summer long. I knew he would. Did it damage my tomatoes? Yes, some of them broke off in all the setting up and falling down. But did he learn a lesson? Yes. Our goal is to help our children learn skills. Sometimes it means allowing them to be wrong and learn that they were wrong and Mom was right without just saying you have to do it my way. Whenever possible, you let your teenagers do it their way, and the natural consequences are going to speak for themselves. But there is those moments when you say, obey now, understand later. All right, we're getting to the end. I don't know how much time I have. If I have time for questions, this is a really great presentation to answer questions. Okay, remember, relationships are greater than rules. Much of your family culture is going to be subconscious, but always choose relationship. Choose to build relationship. Relationships are built on shared experiences, positive shared experiences. Relationships are the hard but lasting work. Rules are the fast way to get things done, but your long-term goal is building the kind of relationship that helps your children want to be close to you, because when they are close to you, you get to influence them to love God the way that you do. And that is ultimately the goal, because nothing will ever satisfy the human heart the way a relationship with Jesus Christ does. Nothing satisfies the human heart except the creator of the human heart. Okay, do I have time for a couple questions? Do we know? All right, right back here in the blue shirt. I'll try to repeat the question so that y'all can hear it. Yes, go ahead.
Do you ever have any of your older children do chores with your younger children where you send the older and the younger together?
Do I ever have older and younger children doing chores together? Yes, but you have to know the dynamics of your family. It works best when there's a lot of years between them and they're not in competition with each other. So sometimes I do, but I don't do a lot of it. Like it might be for a week or two while I work with somebody else, but you're gonna know your problem areas. And so it does work depending on your family dynamic and the maturity of everybody involved. Okay, right here. Okay, what is my idea on allowances and how do you decide what chores to give allowances for? We do not pay our children an allowance for everyday living chores. This is what feeds the family. You eat, you work, right? However, this is how our children earn money. We might have an extra chore. Like, let's say, for example, we're getting ready to come here. Elvin says to the boys, if you clean out the van, spit and polish, detail the inside of the minivan, I will pay you X amount of money, right? That's how our children earn money. And they're super motivated because we told them there's all these cool vendors here. So there's usually throughout the year, they are making money because we have these extra jobs that don't fall into the everyday we're feeding the family, and we'll pay them for those kind of jobs. Anybody else have a question? Oh, over here. So the defiance, I want to do it my way. Yeah, so nonstop temper tantrums. Is your child like 2 or 3? 3, yes. So I know that because guess what? It's very, very normal for that age. It's not as much something you've done wrong as it is a developmental stage. They're not able to, a lot of times with that age, they tend to panic when we ask them to shift gears because they do not shift gears well. Because their brain is geared to learn and master something. You know what you feel like when you're in the middle of learning something and somebody keeps saying, Mom, 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 Mom? Doesn't that make you feel like you're gonna jump out of your skin? That's what it's like for them all the time. So when you ask them to do something they don't want to do, that's what it feels like. So number 1, you're gonna get through it. You're not alone. And number 2, you probably have a child that cannot communicate as well as he or she would like to. So they're probably comprehending a lot more than what they're communicating, and it's really their communication skills that are lacking. Therefore, they're just having a tantrum because they don't know how to tell you otherwise. So what I found helpful often was to talk to them all the time. And then there's definitely those moments where you just get through it. Yeah. I had one child that I would put into the high chair, physically pick them up, put them into the high chair until they calmed down, and then we would sit together and emotionally regulate. But literally, they just had to fight their way through it. But you're not alone. Okay, anybody else? Right here. Oh yes, she asked me if I could speak Pennsylvania Dutch. Do I use Pennsylvania Dutch? It's kind of Elvin and I's secret language when we're in public. We can sit here and talk about all of y'all. You don't know it. We don't do that. Okay, so you want me to say something in Pennsylvania Dutch, which is my primary language, and we're getting a lot of competition, so I'm going to wrap this up. But before I'll say something, I promise. You can pre-order my book for $20 today over at Harvest House Publishers, which is booth 112. Today it's only $20 to pre-order it. I have a box up here with samples of my book. You can have those for free. And then I may give this timer away. There's another one in here and a bag of goodies from 4 Jars. You can come and help yourself. There's another timer in here. Okay, I'm going to say something in Pennsylvania Dutch, and then you guys can go. Yes, Harrison. Oh, then you want to say what it means? Okay. Wie bist du? It's close. Wie bist du is how are you? And okay, you want another phrase? Oh, reprimand them. Du warst so schnell oder die Taschens Eckhocker. Do you know what I said? Okay, I said you better don't do that or you're gonna sit in the corner. Thank you, everybody.